Hello, Recon87 here and welcome back to more combat mission Battle for Normandy. We are starting the mission 10 out of 10, which is the 6th mission in the Scottish Corridor campaign. And this is both the mission I was expecting, but at the same time, not what I was expecting. So let me explain. What is the mission itself? So, as expected, this is a mission to secure the bridge over the River Odon. So we are just south of Tourmaville, which we secured in the 4th mission, I think it was, in a couple missions ago. And this is the River Odon here, and here is the bridge. So our objective, actually our objective is not necessarily to secure the bridge itself. There's no objective marker. In fact, our two objectives are to destroy as many German forces as we can find, and to get as much of our troops off the map as we can manage. But I suppose unless we're willing to leave behind all our tracked vehicles, that does mean we are going to have to secure that bridge. Okay, so that was the bit that I was expecting. Now, what is the twist? Well, contrary to where I thought we'd be, we're not using those 3 healthy platoons from B Company that we securely moved off map in that Humpty Dumpty securing Tourmaville scenario. Instead, the forces we have at disposal are the 13th, 14th and 15th platoons from C Company. And for those of you who are good at remembering things, those are the actual units we had in the midst of the fighting, securing Colville and Tourmaville in the Humpty Dumpty mission. As such, we're a pretty beat up force. So 14th platoon here, who were they were kind of tasked with securing Colville, and as you were, took some pretty heavy casualties off a couple of determined German HQ units. So we've got one good section and the other 2 are decimated. So overall we're probably sitting at about 50% for this platoon. Meanwhile, 15th took some light casualties, securing both objectives, so they're sitting at maybe about 75% kind of combat strength. And 14th platoon took or 13th I should say, took a few more, and they're sitting at about 60% combat strength. So yeah, by no means full forces are at our disposal. We do have some supporting elements, so we've got, so from our support company, we've got some scouts. We've got 2 scouting detachments with their brain carriers, which we'll utilise in a combined arms role. We also have, well, technically have a forward observer party. However, the forward observer himself actually got killed in the Humpty Dumpty scenario, so this guy is unable to actually call in any fire missions, so not much use to. So what I'm going to re-roll him as will be a gunner for this brain carrier. We also have one 6-pounder anti-tank gun, which was attached to a carrier, but again that carrier got destroyed, so we've got one carrier for both the gun and the ammo crew. But one's all we need to lug the weapon around, so that will be fine. And that is kind of our forces. In terms of ammo, so we're actually not in too bad a place. So these brain carriers had various amounts of ammo in them, and in the first setup for this mission, I have taken all my squads, put them inside the brain carriers, acquired the ammunition and moved them back out again. So you can do all that kind of for free beyond all the clicks you need in the setup phase. So that's not too bad. The only area we're really lacking is 2-inch mortars. So I've managed to get 2 of my 3 detachments kind of restocked. So this guy's sitting with 13 HE, and I think this guy's sitting with 12. So that's not too bad. But that was it. We were out. So this team has none. So this is a really weak platoon over here. The other issue we are facing is because we don't have a forward observer, the off-map artillery we have is going to be quite a pain to call in. So first of all, what off-map artillery have we got to assist us? Well, that's actually not too bad. We've got kind of 2 batteries or tubes, if you want, of 3-inch mortars, and we've got 4 25-pounder howitzers. So not bad. These guys coming in with kind of just 56 rounds, and the 3-inch howitzers coming in with 100. So reasonable off-map artillery support. The issue that I had with this, and the decision I ended up making, which I'll talk through in a minute, was that the call-in time for these, especially without forward observers, is huge. So for one of our normal HQ units, it's 15 minutes to call in the howitzers, and I think it's 8 to call in the 3-inch mortars. So I was kind of toying up with, do I want to use the howitzers up front or do I want to kind of wait and call them in during the battle? And the kind of concern I have as well, you know, for me to find and identify what I think is a reasonable force of opponents to use the howitzers on, to then get in positions, to then sit there for 15 minutes, which is a quarter of the time we've got allotted. That seemed like quite a painful exercise. So I opted instead just to do a fire mission at the very start of the kind of battle, and I'm just going to dump the entire ammo in and around this farm where I know from the briefing that there are German presence. On the French mortar side, so it's not quite the same scenario, because they're not quite as long a call in, but at the same time we have got 100 rounds, so I've got called in I think it's on a 5-minute delay, a medium duration mission just on this position, because that is kind of sitting out there on the flanks, and I don't want kind of Germans sitting amongst these hedge roads and kind of potentially picking us off as we try and advance up the map. So that's certainly not going to use all our ammunition. So for those who are kind of unaware, when you select the duration element for a fire mission, so it might not show us because we're if I show us medium, so you've got kind of quick, short, medium, long, and maximum. It's not really a time, it's how many rounds you want to expend. So for the medium one, it's like between 12 and 18 rounds. But the one bit I'm not 100% sure on if that's per gun, or if it's for the fire mission as a total. So we'll have to see if this drops down to, you know, kind of between 80 and 90, or if it goes down to between 60 and 70. I think it's going to be per barrel, essentially per gun. But we will be able to confirm. Again, there's enough 5-minute delay. So yeah, big advantage. You call it in at the start, you get to use it straight away. Oh, one other thing is that I've got the howitzers on the airburst personnel charges, which is not one I tend to use very often. I think given we're going to be mainly against infantry, more or less out in the open, I don't think they're going to have foxholes and things. I think that's going to be the useful ones for us to use. Alright, in terms of the Germans, what are we facing? Well, so as I said, the briefing said there's going to be some initial resistance in this farmhouse, so that's remnants of a force from Tourville, which was defeated early in the day, so that's, although we've done a lot of fighting around that objective, so both in our, I think in the Humpty Dumpty scenario we were securing an avenue towards Tourville, and in the Mondreville scenario we were securing the right flank. We haven't actually fought that engagement, I don't believe it's part of this campaign. But anyway, some defenders from the air are hold up in this farmhouse, so we know there's people there. Beyond that, it's just a generic, there are some Germans in and amongst these kind of positions north of the river, and there's no one on the south bank. So that's what we've been told. So my kind of decision making was, well, look, I know there's Germans here, I'm worried about actually being able to use my howitzers in a meaningful way during the battle. Let's just dump everything we've got and at least kind of secure this initial area, hopefully with relative ease. The other good bit of information we've had from on the Germans is that they are severely depleted in terms of manpower. They've had to fill their ranks with the likes of orderlies and cooks and anyone they can get their hands on, so they're going to have low morale. So hopefully we can get them to give up relatively easily. Okay, so what's the plan in terms of the mission itself? Well, first we're going to dump a whole bunch of artillery on this area, and then I'm going to sweep in essentially with these two platoons, kind of leapfrogging-ish, we're kind of moving one up, getting kind of a secure firebase, and then moving the other one up to support, tweaking as necessary for wherever the enemy appear, and really leveraging the three brain carriers we have. I think he's in the wrong position, I'll move him out in a minute. But anyway, the 3 brain carriers we have to add additional fire support, you know, as much as we can, because to try and really minimise our losses. Although the points are for destroying the enemy, and that's kind of it, I don't want to really be picking too many fights that's going to cost me a lot of men to win, because I just do not have the bodies. So I'd rather leave the odd German alive here and there and get my troops off the map than to kind of get a clean sweep but take more casualties. That's a theory. Whether I manage to actually execute that, we'll see. So yeah, general plan was to move these 2 guys up, kind of secure this general area. I'm also going to move 1 platoon up just to this bottom hedgerow to kind of help secure the flank, and I'll show why that should be okay in a moment. And then then it's going to be a bit of a decision point. My initial thought had been to get this platoon to kind of sweep far right, to kind of come through this farmhouse and then push down to the edge of the bridge there, while the other two continue to sweep up the left of the map, and then move my Brens between as required. I think that's what I'm going to initially try to do, but I'm worried about splitting my forces too much, although it's not that big of a map. In terms of terrain, if I can kind of come down to the ground level. Thank you. You see that it comes up to a here we go. It comes up to a rise. So that should give us essentially, obviously notwithstanding Germans in here, but we should be able to bring a platoon up to this position without exposing them to too much fire. Potentially, if there's guys in the building over here, we might have to move around and change that. But that's kind of generally what the plan is at the minute. So with that, the first few minutes are probably going to be not much movement as we drop a load of howitzers on there, so we don't push into that. I'm going to scoot forward some scouts, zoom out a little bit again, just up this far side to see what we can see. They don't have binoculars or anything despite being scouts, so their vision may be limited. And yeah, and I'll hold kind of my brain carriers. I'll move him forward a little bit, but everyone else is going to hold position until most of these rounds have dropped. So I'll take maybe the first 5 minutes or so. So in terms of what I do and don't want to show on video, well, I might show the first minute just in case we do get any initial contact, and then maybe cut away till the barrage is done. One thing I do want to do is reposition this Bren carrier, and yeah, there we go. I had been moving him around to get ammo for the various units, and in fact I've just put this guy in the wrong carrier. That's the Bren carrier there. This is the universal carrier. It's a universal carrier, but the mortar carrier for the 6 pound anti-tank gun. Yeah, I can word when I need to. I have used this guy, who essentially is just going to be another gunner in my Bren, because well, if I took him out, you'd see he's just a rifleman despite being a Bren detachment. Similar position here, and I'm still unsure about this, but I have put out my P8, I say team, single man in this case, into this Bren carrier as well. So I've just been trying to find those guys who are single men, so you don't have anyone sitting in the back liable to get shot. So, tell you what, we are 12 minutes in and we've not even unpaused the game yet. I said let's maybe run the first minute. We'll see if we get any initial contacts. I'm not expecting it, although I said that on the road to Shu and we got shot up straight into our deployment zone. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a little bit quieter. I was expecting the rounds to start falling straight away, but I think they maybe actually take a minute before they will drop. But he was a bit of a test case to see if there was any Germans kind of immediately out in this area. And with that not being the case, we should be able to move this section in. And then once we've got... Here we come. Nice. Hopefully that spreads it around, causes some casualties, makes a couple of them run for the hills if we're lucky, and really softens them up for our push through. What I was going to say, yes, once we've kind of secured this area, we'll move our 6 pounder up probably to this kind of corner. That's pretty good visibility over the crest of that hill. I'm hoping, to be honest, I'm hoping my 6 pounder is just for decoration in this mission. I really don't want to come up against armoured resistance. We're not in that much of a fit state to be fighting it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I will put a bit of a cut in here. Like I say, we're going to sit tight for a couple of minutes as this barrage falls, and I'll bring you back once we have started to move out, or if we get some particular spot from our little scouts up here that we need to talk about. So I'll catch you back then. And welcome back. So the next couple of minutes went through fairly uneventfully, apart from a large number of 25 pounder shells exploding all over this farmhouse. Just as the fire mission was finishing, so this is the last minute of the fire mission, we did get a first spot of a German infantryman. One lonely infantryman running away, presumably in a bit of a panic. We have seen also got a sight of some foxholes back here, so despite what I said, it looks like we did have time to prepare some defences. But the fact he is running away, and the fact that they have some defences kind of more in the open, where we've been dropping all these, a lot of these shells, is pretty satisfying. We didn't see him again. He quickly became just a bit of a contact, and that was the end of that. And I'm always interested by who actually make these spots. So none of my guys on the... Oh, it was him. And I'll take it back. So the first spot was actually done by this cheap, but one of our guys on our fire line finally did make a spot as well. And there was me going to make a big spiel about how it was the guy in the back and none of the people up front. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so nothing much happens for this last 30 seconds. I have started to move some of my troops in, but let's just jump to the end of this minute and we'll talk about how we're going to push in now. So what I'm going to want to do also, there's a bit of a gap in the fence here, is probably bring one of the carriers over so they've got line of sight through this fence, again, so you can start putting some suppressed fire down at anyone they see. I'm pretty comfortable bringing these guys into this position along here. And then once we've got those two kind of locked down, as it will, and we'll have got some sight lines over here, we can start thinking about pushing this fire base forward to the next line of hedge. There's a few kind of avenues of attack for lines of sight, which we do need to be careful of. But that's, I think, generally going to be the plan. So what I will do is I'll put another just ever so quick cut in to issue some of these orders, and then we'll come back for the live action. Hopefully we might see if we can find ourselves some Germans, and more importantly, let's find out what damage our howitzer barrage has done. Alright, orders in. We'll just kick off for the next minute and see what we see. So we've not come under any fire of any description yet. Although that's usually the precursor to one of my men being shot. Let's run a quick pause. So interestingly, he's now running back the other way. So he may be returning to his position or in amongst these buildings. So anyway, who's got the spot there? Again, this jeep. See, that's what I was talking about earlier. But hopefully, I've got a couple of guys kind of springing forward on a bit of a jog. I might catch them out in the open. Although they may not get themselves set up in time. He is going into his foxhole. Okay. Well, I'm sure that's something we can dig him out of. Aside from that, pretty quiet. Interesting to see if these guys make much of a spot once they get in position. Doesn't seem to be the case. What I would quite like to do is if I can get some eyes into here, which we weren't too far away. That sounded very whistly. Oh, hopefully it's our mortars and not the enemy ones coming in on a 5-minute delay. I hope. What was I saying? Yeah, if we can get some eyes in here, so we feel we've got a little bit of freedom movement in this area, it would be useful to bring guys up, you know, into this hedgerow to have line of sight into this field if they've got some additional positions in there. I probably don't want to do it with just one section. I'd like a little bit more strength before we do that. Okay, let's go into the next minute. So what we'll do, we'll scoot this guy forward. I'm a little leery about leading with my Browns because I'm sure they do have some kind of anti-vehicle capability. I do want some more vision over here. I'll get you guys. Yeah, I would like, as much as I'd like to just walk you everywhere, I'm going to get you to go quickly. Just for the sake of expediency. So my options in here are really a very open area this way, which then you can't get through the farmhouse, but you can get into the woods behind. Or you have to come around and either go into these barn buildings, which you all know is generally an unpleasant position to try and hold, or we're coming in all the way here. So I think what I might get is I'll get this position to kind of hold some areas of or lines of fire, and then we might try and push kind of around the side with these guys and be a little more forward with these chaps here. So let's get them moving over. As much as I would like to walk them everywhere, I'm probably going to have to give them a bit of a jog. I'm worried about this actually, just in case they do fall into kind of line of sights in the like this kind of position, because that's not in a place we've been before. But at the same time, I don't want to run them all the way around there if I can avoid it. But I might have to just to avoid any unnecessary casualties. So, okay, what I'll do is I'll put in one of my regular cuts to go and issue movement orders. I think I might just swing some people in around this way. Or at the very least skirt the edge of this road. Just to try and avoid additional fire. Although hopefully once we get our carrier in position, he's going to be kind of protecting them. Anyway, I'll go away, I'll have a wee think about that, and I'll put in some movement orders, and then we'll come back and push on. Okay, we're back, and what I did opt for is to push them along to the road, and then push across. Using a quick command, just so we jog it, just try and get them, minimise the time they open, accepting it does make them slightly more visible. But hopefully that will be okay, I'll push forward with that. I'm hearing explosions, but I'm not seeing where they fell. Keep an eye out for those. Ah, over there. Good. That's just our mortar rounds coming in. That's absolutely fine. I'm happy to kind of annihilate that position. It worries me that we've not made contact with anyone yet. I just feel like when it's like that, you're about to just walk into a, you know, an MG position or something. That for whatever reason it does not seem to be the case. And our scouts, which we've pushed up reasonably far now, still haven't made any spots, and we'll just hold them there for a wee bit, see if they can't see anything. This is a fairly quiet turn, okay. These guys starting to make their way across, not a problem. That's what we shall do. Tell you what I will do then is, so I'm going to bring essentially this entire platoon across, kind of holding positions here with a view to then move in along this hedge line. And with these guys, I say we're going to try and, I don't know if we'll try and scout across there actually. It's very open. There's going to be some sight lines. I'm just going to hold them where they are. And we'll see if we can't get some better eyes on exactly what's happening around here. So yeah, what I will do is I'll probably put another cut in. I'll spend a couple of minutes bringing these guys in position. Obviously, if something happens, we'll jump back in and we'll look at it. But if it's just going to be time of me manoeuvring guys and no response from the enemy, then that's not much worth a watch. So, all going well. I'll see you in a couple of minutes when we are ready to make the push in on this farmhouse. And welcome back. And we have our second German spot, although not particularly interesting. So I had for the last probably 2 minutes heard the occasional kind of pop of a rifle going off, but couldn't work out where it was coming from or even who it was shooting at. It resolved into this chap here, who seems to be on his own, bravely having a pop at our defunct mortar team. I say defunct because they have only got smoke ammo left. So they should obviously start to return fire this turn. The one thing, and it does frustrate me, so I've also got these two chaps here who have a nice brain gun. So you think, brilliant, brain gun against a rifleman, that's a good way to inflict some damage. But unfortunately, when I come into actually trying to target the guy, I can't. It says I've got no aim point, and I think it's because of this hedge line. Even though they're in the exact same action square as the mortar guys, who quite happily can take pot shots at the fence line or the German himself. So I don't know if it's theoretically because he's lying down and they're standing up. I don't know, but it's frustrating, is what it is. But anyway, I just want to bring back for the spot and mainly for the slight moan. So these guys have advanced quite far. Still no spots, so I'm going to keep them going. Actually, our mortar bombardment has now finished, and it was pretty good, hopefully annihilating anyone's there. I'd like to get these guys right up against that hedge line, make sure that area is safe, and then we can consider actually moving this platoon round to that position. Yeah, I'll just keep you with me as we kind of truck on a little bit. We are again continuing to move guys into this kind of area. We'll hopefully open up some flanks, and then we can put some forward pressure with our brain carriers if we can ever get a spot going. I'm worried that eventually he's going to hit something. Are these guys shooting back? No. Well, why not? cowering. We'll just shoot the guy. Might have to do something about that. Okay, the rest of this section begin to arrive. I'll need to scoot their HQ over. And I've probably gone a bit ridiculously aggressive with this universal carrier. But I would quite like to swing him round over in this direction. And yeah, there was no kind of fence way through before that. So I'll have to be careful. I don't want him to get too close to these foxholes. Right, if I can't put fire on him next time, I might have to pull these guys out, because I just don't want to take a random rifle bullet for no real reason. Okay, so I have got these guys going in position against this hedge. I don't think they're going to see very much. Actually, you'll see better if I'm in the command phase. Meanwhile, yeah, we've got these guys coming into support. And I'll push these guys into the hedge behind. And in fact, I'm tempted to make you go quick, but I just noticed these guys are on a quick. I wonder if they come under fire from somewhere. I'll have to check that next time. Yeah, do you know what? I want to take up a position sooner rather than later. I'm slightly worried about losing time on this already. And I feel like we should be able to get that position relatively safely. Good. Now what to do about you? Because ideally I would swing you over into this area so you get a nice bit of distance. That does mean being near this hedge line, although if they're in their foxholes... no, they probably do have a bit of vision. I'll hold you there for now. Let's not get a brain carrier killed unnecessarily. But we've got these scouts moved up, so I'm keen to see what they see, if anything. In fact, they might be, because these are not without oomph, so actually... Let's move you guys up a little bit. We'll get you kind of protecting the brain carrier from overly aggressive infantry, and we'll move you right up to this kind of fence line. Good. Who else do I want to start moving? I'm probably going to hook up this AT gun. He's not doing much back here. You guys are all good where you are, and I'll give you orders to run across. So I'll just do a very, very short cutaway, and we'll push on the next minute. Alright, orders done. I have given this guy an explicit targeting command because I'm keen to see if these guys will actually open up with their rifles. In fact, let's just start in here to see if that's the case. Again, knowing my luck, this will be the minute where the German actually finds his mark. And they do. It's just 2 rifles versus 1, so it's not great odds. But at least we're putting some fire back at them. That might have been enough to... do you know what? I'm just going to double check that our boys aren't amazing shots. I'm guessing he's just changed his mind after getting some return fire. But let's just see. Yeah, seems to be the way. Okay. Oh, I heard a machine gun rip there. Now we were conscious these guys went to ground. Cowering, spot moving, cowering, so it might be over here. Let's just jump back 5 seconds. These are the most exposed. Yes, it looks like it's coming from potentially that position. Let's run it back. Which we can definitely get our brain carriers to come up and suppress. Yeah, I'd say that's exactly where it's coming from. Pretty far, so unlikely to be effective, but you know, can certainly catch us now and again. So we'll get this guy up and maybe to put pressure on that, and it's also a good candidate for dropping some of our 2-inch mortars on. Or even our 3-inch mortars actually, considering we need to use up those 100 rounds. Okay, meanwhile let's push on, see if we can actually get some of these guys into position, putting some meaningful firepower onto this. I kind of 10-15 minutes is probably okay to get to the edge of this farm. Well, have to be 15 minutes because 10 minutes is gone. And then if we can kind of get to the midway point about half an hour, keep us on track. So you don't want a mad dash at the end. Oh, hello. Whoa, 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 whoa. Who have we got here? So we have seem to have caught them. It looks like most of a squad, or section, or whatever the Germans call it. Yeah, just riflemen. With his rifleman, there's potentially a machine gun. So they look like they're concentrating in this little wooded area. And we can certainly cause them a few problems. And then they're pulling back. Okay. Definitely not particularly stiff German resistance we've spotted thus far. And then that's going to be the minute. Okay. So one thing I just want to check was answering our question on the mortar rounds. So we look at our HQ team. So we had 100, and indeed we are down to 66. So that was 34 rounds used, 17 per gun. So yeah, the durations is rounds per gun. Useful to know. So we've got essentially another 2 medium duration bombardments left. Which does beg a very good question. Do we want to use it on that? Which I suspect you can't actually see because of the ridgeline. So it might be a moot point at this stage. Yes, indeed, that is the case. But we could also, once we're in this position, use. Actually, I think 2-inch mortars is probably a better candidate for that, given the timeline and the countdown, which we want to avoid. But I will happily scoot this guy forward, accepting, you know, they could have an AT gun. Actually, in lots of places along here, but unfortunately, we're never going to be in a position where we're going to safely scout all of that before we are comfortable. And I might get you to target. Oh, from the end, obviously. No, you're not happy with that? Why not? Again, I think it's something where they can't see the ground to target it. Even though if there was troops there, they'd be able to target the troops because they're obviously not quite level with the ground. Although, I appreciate there's a bit of a hill there. So let's maybe continue to scooch forward a little bit. Oh, I need to not select the line itself. Let's come forward to say here. Again, this dude's very exposed. He is very exposed. He's going to be leading the line for us. Which we may come to regret. Alright, I shall move you forward and hopefully you'll make the spot on your own. If nothing else, you're kind of blocking the way from those guys. Alright, you've moved in position. Do you know what? I'm just going to entirely commit you guys up to come up in support of those dudes. Now I think we're going to have to start funneling people into here. Well, actually, our scouts should be able to see what the state of play is in this field and how best to bring some supporting elements in. Maybe this guy kind of round the front. Or maybe just trundling our carriers forward, to be perfectly honest. Your missions to get to there, which is absolutely fine, and then I'm going to have you hunt. Probably to here. Meanwhile, I'd like you to move up to right where they are, and then reverse yourself over here to give yourself a little bit of space and angles. You're fine where you are, and you're fine where you are. Okay. And all those guys are now moving up. Oh, I forgot to give this order. Hang on. Right. That's fine. Doesn't take too long to do. And our scouts, have they got to the end of theirs? Nope, they're still moving, although that won't take you a full minute. So let's keep you trucking forward. I'll be happy if they get in position before they're spotted. Alright, we are getting a little bit long with this video, so let's run the next minute. Might be nice if I actually get some kind of confirmed kill before I have to call this episode to close. But we shall see. And hopefully it doesn't end with our Bren carrier being blown up by an AT gun, because that would make me sad. But it's a risk, and I'm accepting that risk and pushing him forward. I was expecting to see the guy that ran into this. Ooh, hello. Okay, so it looks like they are in this position. A machine gun. And there he is. Not in the foxhole, just on the ground, cowering behind it. But they're, yeah. Although they've got a reasonable firepower of their own. Well, there he goes. as requested, we got to see someone kill a German. And it was Corporal Masterton. Good job. Please don't get taken out by an MG. Yeah, get down. So it looks like there's some infantry section in here. Yeah. I think my job's going to be to bring up a carrier and just start laying into them. There we go. In foxholes, no less. Although they're not actually in their foxholes. Maybe. I know. Graphics not going so well there. Yeah, so I think that's going to be the play. Bring up some carriers. Probably not. You're probably in a bad position for it. I'll probably bring him into this field and get my line of sight through this hedge. Start suppressing him. Meanwhile, try and push at least one of these sections across to the edge of that wood. Oh, that's pretty exposed. I might have to hold off on that. I think it's going to be push him forward to suppress that. Potentially bring these guys into this area if we can. We'll have to check for a gap in the hedge. And then I'm almost comfortable enough that there isn't a lot of firepower coming down this way that we could actually make the break across here and potentially get in behind them and outflank them, which might be the way to do it. But all that is going to have to wait until next time. So I do hope you have enjoyed this first episode. As ever, the first one's a little bit more kind of large-scale tactics, initial manoeuvrings, but that's not too bad. We got through the first 10 minutes. I'd like to think we've weakened them quite a lot from the mortar barrage, but we'll see. Certainly not putting up too stiff resistance thus far. But let's see what that looks like as we move forward. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed it, and I will catch you all in the next one.